I know people are probably stuck in traffic, but I thought I'd get us started. Welcome to the monthly pub meeting. I'm Brian, your president. A couple things tonight is honey judging with Marjie Ehry. She'll be here in a moment. Where's my? Come on. There we go. Don't forget to support Pub. We've got the swarm list, which is tapering off. It's been very active. Bee Buddy program, mentors and learners. We've got a mentor and a learner here. Bee days at the apiary twice a month. Library that Katie's got on Instagram. She can show you all the books if you follow her. And any equipment rental, observation hive, all sorts of things. And upcoming events. Learning Apiary the 7th and 21st. Gather and Blather on the 27th. We had a good one last week with a lot of sideliners. Oops, Dr. Dewey on the 8th. And Learning Apiary on the 10th and 19th of July. And then really important EpiPen training on the 11th. So there's 6 spots left for EpiPen training. 10 to 12 on first and third Sundays. If you haven't been, please go.
We have someone who's interested. Do they the waiver? Do they need to do that online first, or can they just show up and do the waiver there?
They can do it up there, but you save time doing it in advance. So, okay, I'm going to introduce Marjie, and I'll let you introduce yourself. And we have video as well.
You want to move the chair?
Oh,
Stand. She gets started. I'm Marjie Ehry, and we've been looking. Please, thanks.
for the people online.
I don't know if anybody else. I can't hear, so everybody can hear you. Anyhow, we've had bees since 92, I guess.
62.
Yes, I'm sorry. Anyhow,
I'm here to be her editor.
Dundee, other than Dundee, and I sell honey. We sold honey. Actually, we put our stand in 1960, 72.
72.
And before that, we just sold, people stop at the door, knock door. I have honey there, you know. But my husband passed away, and after that, I'd been selling honey all the time, and I just thought, this is the way to do it. People knock on the door or go to the honey stand and buy honey there. A lot of times, you never even see the people. They drive up, get honey, leave. And they've been really great. Bees are just special, but people who buy honey also are great customers, and they always want to know if you're there, where they can see you and want to talk to you about bees. So, anyhow, I guess we have a program tonight. We're going to see, and then we'll talk about that. If you have any questions.
So she's been a honey judge in Oregon since 1978 or 76. And you got your honey judging certification.
Oh,
Anyway,
I can't put it.
so the
Date
mid-70s. And she judges every year at the Oregon State Fair. We've been doing the honey shows for OSBA for most of the last 20 years. And so, you know, she's mentored a lot of people, and she put together this video actually a couple of years ago when nobody could see each other. You know, we couldn't be together.
Yeah.
So you hear some references about how we can't be together. So that, just so you know, that was a COVID thing. But afterward, then you can ask questions. That sounds good.
Great. Pull up a chair and we'll
There's a chair right there for mine.
get started.
Right behind you.
Here.
Welcome. Today, we're going to talk about honey judging and other things that have to do with beekeeping, such as some of the history and the state fair, honey shows. And I hope that you'll all enjoy this, and I hope it really encourages you to enter this next year. Hopefully, we'll be somewhere where we can actually get together, which really, I missed that this year. Living in Yamhill County in the Dundee wine country, I listen to winemakers talk about the pride they have in their industry and their wines and the families that are in winemaking. And I wonder many times if beekeepers understand what they have going. Honey is like fine wine. And there are so many different types. Just like with the wine, there are different types of wine, different areas for certain wines to grow. Well, here in Oregon, we have absolutely excellent honeys, which there are parts of this world that have real good honeys, and we're lucky. I have a self-service honey stand, and I don't always see the honey customers because it is self-service. But when I do, they constantly tell me that no matter what honey they buy out of the stand, it's just excellent. In fact, right now I'm selling pumpkin, and I had a flood of people this morning because I just put it on the reader board, and anxious. They've been waiting because during this part of the season, Halloween and Thanksgiving, they just love to have pumpkin honey when people come or whatever, because they have pumpkins and turkey, and it just goes with this season. I love to have holly honey for Christmas, but I very seldom have any honey anymore since we're not in commercial beekeeping. And my part of the business is just selling honey and looking for different kinds all the time. Honey, any kind of honey actually sells well, but we're always looking for metaphone. And if anybody out there has any holly honey, I would love to get some from you. Christmas is coming. I have long thought, and just recently I heard this discussed. My opinion with the varieties of honey, when people say, well, last year my blackberry tasted different than this, or crimson clover, or any of the honeys. And I've always told people when they say something like that, it depends on the weather, depends on the soils. It might just be, half a mile down the road and it might taste different. And so I love varieties of honey, tasting varieties of honey and learning what those varieties are. Just recently, I took the honey sensory online workshop, and it was quite interesting because I've always thought, if I get a chance, I'll do that. So I jumped on this, and they sent a kit with 7 different honeys in it and 3 different sugars. And it was interesting. The different honeys, a couple of them I definitely recognized, but that isn't what we were looking for. We're looking for whether it tasted like cotton candy, or whether it had kind of a sour taste, or whether it tasted woody, the different varieties, or maybe even barnyard, which a few years ago I judged honey. I always take the lid off and smell the honey, and there was no way I was going to taste that honey. I felt bad about that, but this smelled like some bees have been working pig lagoon somewhere. Let's see, I wanted to talk about the state fair booths and honey shows in general. We have some pictures in this video of state fair booths over the different years. And there is one from 2011 that has Alan, my husband, in, and Chuck Sowers, which I just thought we can't miss but see that, because both of them were longtime beekeepers and presidents, past presidents, and did so much for Oregon State Beekeepers Association. There are pictures of different years just showing the way they were designed and how they were decorated. In 2011, we hadn't had the booth the year before. All of a sudden, no one was interested in putting it in. And so we decided just to put in a very minimal booth just to get the space back. And so that's what we did. And I took a picture of it after we had it set up and sent it out on email and said, if anyone has anything else they'd like to have in the booth, please bring it. And it was great. People brought pictures and a whole series of different things that really added to the booth. And we had the Honey Queen, the National Honey Queen, come, and she appeared and talked to people in the booth about all the different types of honey and the bees that were in the booth. So we've gone on from there, and every year it has grown and is just so much better. When we first started, I guess when I first got involved in helping with the booth, Oliver Petty had put it up for years, and he always did a display of bees and things that went on as far as beekeeping goes. But the main reason for the booth was to just display the honey that was entered in the fair. And that was great. We always had observation hives. Somebody had to go every day and clean the booth up, you know, if anybody threw candy wrappers or anything in it, and check the bees and see how they were, water them, whatever. So Oliver couldn't do it in 63 and asked if I would go every day and check the bees. He gave us 2 passes. And so I went in every day and watered the bees, checked on them. The problem was that I couldn't leave the booth. All of a sudden we had a crowd around the booth. People had all kinds of questions. They wanted to see the bees closer, and they were just on exhibit. There wasn't anyone in there to watch the bees as far as being close to an observation hive that people were looking at. And so I called some local beekeepers and asked if they would work in the booth a little bit. So we passed the passes through the gate to each other because we only had 2 passes. But from then on, we have manned the booth every year. And it's one of the biggest attractions in the Jackson Long building. And we, it's just a very necessary thing that we do in promoting bees and talking to people about the real necessity of bees in our food chain. You know, there are all kinds of facts. 1/3 of everything we eat is been pollinated by honeybees or pollinating insects. But it's much further than that. Wildlife, almost everything that we eat, wildlife has all the berries, everything that is growing out there that so many things, bears or raccoons or anything eat, are also pollinated by pollinating insects. It's extremely important. In fact, I've been thinking about that poor little honeybee. I can't believe that she was created and started working and had no idea what her job description was. If she had, she probably would have wanted to be a ladybug. It's just so amazing to study honeybees. And I know that so many people that aren't actual beekeepers are going to our bee meetings to learn. And there are so many new hobbyists, people with just a few hives. Beekeeping is addiction. It's an absolute addiction. Once after you have been involved in honeybees, it's hard to walk away. We suddenly have a passion for honeybees. And every one of us that talks to anybody about honeybees is doing a big favor. Everyone needs to be very much aware of what she does for us. I have judged honey around Oregon in different areas. I've helped judge on a national level a couple times. And I am not a certified judge, but I have a lot of experience. And it started by putting the State Fair booth in. And it's been a real learning experience because to begin with, I never entered, I still don't enter honey in honey shows that I'm going to judge for a very obvious reason. But in talking to the people that brought honey to display, I learned a lot about what they were doing. And the more they judged, the more they learned, and the more little techniques they had that they discovered really worked for them. And I'm going to go over a few points that need to be definitely done. When you pick out glass, the jars you're going to use to display your honey, be sure that the glass is in good condition. It's perfect. Glass, every jar you look at, if you would hold it up to the light, whether it's a quart jar, a gallon jar, any jar, it has all kinds of imperfections in it. So when you pick your glass, be sure you pick glass that doesn't have stripes or marbled look to it, or maybe even little black specks that are in the glass itself. Because when the judge is judging, they're going to see that and not be sure if it's in the honey or in the glass. But the other thing, if there are two absolutely excellent honeys and they have to make a choice between them, that glass plays a part in which one gets the first place. There's another thing that you really need to look for. Be very careful when you fill your jars to fill them just almost overfilled, so that if there is anything, any foam or anything at the top of the jar, you can skim it off at the top. Because everything will show. Everything that's in, especially if it is light honey. Now this jar has foam at the top. And when you fill the jar, the 3 jars that you have that you're going to display have to be up to this line where the lid hits this top glass. You don't want to see any light between the lid and the jar. Be sure not to, when you put it in the show, put a clean lid on so that there's no honey or particles on top on that lid when the judge takes it off. The judge never tips the jar when they take it off. They take the lid off like this, look at the inside of the lid to see if there's any honey in it on the lid or any particles of wax or pollen. Then they look in to be sure it's filled, all 3 jars are filled at the same height, and they must be up to this line. That's your fill line. And this actually is a great thing for you to learn, because when you sell honey, when you put it out for sale, whether it's at a farmer's market or give it to the neighbors. You want it to all look beautiful. That is the pride in your product. And so be sure when you sell honey or anything that you do have it filled properly. When people look at your honey on the shelf and they see all different fill lines where they wonder, well, which one? I'll take the fullest one because it's supposed to be a pound of honey. And if it's below that, it's not a pound of honey, I guess. So anyhow, those are really important things. And don't just absolutely do not have sticky jars. This cloth right here is lint free. And it's a cloth that before you put your honey in for display, be sure and clean your jar. Be sure it was a clean jar to start with, but be sure it's clean and polished when you put it in the stand or on the shelf at the fair. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the different types of judging. We in Oregon had always judged by variety, such as fireweed, vetch, crimson clover, alfalfa, sweet clover, and we also had classification for for wildflower and spring flower, because some honeys, when you're tasting for variety, just absolutely, it has maybe veg, but there's something else, some other taste. And so we had a category for valley flower or spring flower. And what we're judging with now at the state fair, which I very much prefer judging by variety, but the Welch judging style has been around for 700 years. Florida and Georgia definitely are using the Welch style. And I'm sure the Apomonium, the national honey shows are all using the Welch style, and that is not by variety. The only time they're tasting is for sour honey, overheated honey, objectionable flavors in the honey. And of course, they're judging with, all the other things I've talked about so far. And also your lid. I should remember to tell you about that. The lid should be very clean, no scratches, no dents, anything. When you take it to the fair, just have a regular lid on it, but have extra new lids that you have selected to put on when it's put on that shelf for judging. And I'm going to talk here about liquid honey. When you're packing your honey, warm your honey like in a large jar, in a gallon jar, because you're going to want to only pack the center part of your honey. So the top part, pour off, and you fill your jars for the fair with that center part, because everything settles to the top, the foam in your large jar, and things will settle on the bottom too. So the best honey for you to use is that middle part, the top third or so you pour off. At least this is what I do. And be sure that you skim off any foam or particles. And a hint that one of the beekeepers told me was that once he gets his jars ready, he sets them in the window and lets them settle out and clarify. And I think that's very important. In fact, I had some granulated jars that I just used for a show of color of the different jars. And one of them was set in a window, and they all should have been, because it liquefied beautifully. And then I brought the others in the house later and tried to liquefy them in the microwave, in hot water, and none of them are anywhere near as nice as that one set in the window. Now, creamed honey is another entry that we have, and either you use a very fine granulated honey, and you don't always find fine granulated honey. And you could take granulated honey and mash it, try to make it just as powdery, as fine as you can. But you also can buy a container of creamed honey in the store and use that as your seed. You warm your honey and incorporate it into your seed by mixing it. This takes quite a bit of time, and it's hard on your mixer. I have mixed for like a half hour, turn the mixer off, let it cool down, and start again. And when you feel that it is mixed enough that it's not going to separate, put it in your container in the refrigerator and let it sit in there for a week ago to completely that fine granulation to work through it. And for the fair, you put that in a pint jar, 3 pint jars for creamed honey. We'll talk about wax here for a minute. You start with cappings wax, milled it down. You add like about 1/3 water in your container when you put the cappings wax in, and melt it down. And you're going to strain that through nylon. I use a knee high over the top of a jar, or not a jar, but a container that I can pour out of. And I strain into that. And when you get close to the water, stop pouring, because you don't want water in there. But you're going to need to do that 2 or 3 times to get a beautiful, clean wax. You don't want any dirt on the underside of your wax. You want to cool it very slowly so it doesn't crack. Now, when I mold wax, I rub the container inside with dishwashing soap like Dove or like Dawn or something. And I used to use oil to get it to release. And you can also buy a can of spray that releases wax. But for what I've done, the soap has worked best because you can wash it off. The oil will leave a film, even no matter how much you try to wipe it off and clean it, you still know that there's an oil film there. And that is required a pound of wax at the fair in a block. You can also enter candles, molded beeswax. I do have all the rules and a color chart. If you're interested, give me a call or send a note. I'm in the membership book for the Oregon State Beekeepers. And so you have my phone, email, and address. Okay, we've talked about just mold or a block of wax. Comb honey, this is for either a frame, square, or round, Ross round. You pick a frame or your squares. And yeah. I forgot to show you this wax when I was talking about wax. This is an example of really nice wax. When you turn it over, here's the dirty side. And you don't want to see any of that on the bottom of your wax that you bring to the fair. So I just wanted to be sure that you saw that. And we were talking about comb honey. When you pick out your frame or your Ross round or square, be sure the cells, pick out the very best one you have with all the cells filled. And we don't want any watery capping on it. And especially if you have cut comb honey, we don't want to have any pollen cells in it because it takes away from the look, even if you were selling it. But we're going to look for all those things. And the other thing with frames, wood frames, is you want them clean. And so if I found out a long time ago from friends that really produced a lot of comb honey, and they always put it in the freezer because once it's frozen, you can chip the propolis or wax off much easier off your frame. Because, you know, sometimes it's a frame that is the second year and it isn't really clean, but the wax is beautiful. So that's just a little hint about how to clean your frame up. Now on chunk honey and cut comb honey, when you cut it, I use a hot knife to slice it so that it's not ragged edges. And your cut comb honey, then you put that in, there are actual containers you can buy from one of the bee supplies, plastic, square, and you put your comb honey.
Okay. We have questions,
I guess.
and from the chat. Nope, I think that's it from my side.
I hope you can all hear you. We can hear you. Because it's really important when you sit with someone and find out that you can listen to anything. But anyhow, we're going to want to give ideas of what we want for state fair, but a lot of people that never try to have honey or take for the fair anywhere or into an organization. They just are happy about having great honey and honey, and they give it to all the family. But then, after they learn about this, they may want to be in the state fair or any organization in this. I give samples of honey all the time to people, and hopefully they'll come back and want them. Hopefully, less actually. People are happy about all the honey. And I should have my daughter come up and talk a little bit too. Do you have any questions? If you have any questions about what we've done that you'd like to hear about?
I have a couple. I heard you say that you could taste overheated honey. Does overheated honey have a, like, can you tell, like, oh, this has been, someone warmed this up past, you know, I mean, I don't know if you know the degree, but does it bring a quality change that you can tell?
Yeah. In fact, it tastes a little bit nerdy. Just, you know, it's all different depending on what people actually do, but, you know, she can smell it and then taste it, and you would be able to tell too.
How hot do you think overheated honey, like
Isn't it 120? Is that the top that we can heat honey?
Well, I figure for a honey, if we were feeding any honey, about 115, 1.
But we want it to stay raw.
Yes,
You know,
sure, yeah. I always think about it like if I get crystallized and I wanna warm it up for people, I'm very careful about it, because I was curious about it.
You start destroying the beneficial enzymes above 104 degrees. So if you were to heat it in a sous vide and take it to 104, but if you exceed that, then you diminish the really vital beneficial enzymes and properties that raw honey has.
Yeah, but this has to be. The other question I had was, do you find that the honeys that win the most, you know, for, you know, that you consider the best are unique, that do they ever have a really unique quality to them, or do you find the best honeys are sort of very, what I'll just call kind of traditional flavor in whatever category, you're in?
So,
The state fair doesn't judge for taste.
Only,
judge for bad taste.
right,
You can get dinged for bad taste,
Yeah.
but they aren't
Yes.
judging for positive taste.
No.
I would love to see the mad black jar, but there doesn't seem to be any interest in that.
yeah. What can you tell me?
It's about unique flavor.
Unique flavors.
We introduced a couple of years ago, a unique variety as part of the competition. Because honey isn't judged for that flavor. And so if you come in and you say, okay, this is fire. It's gonna be judged against what we believe fireweed to be, and the other fireweed that is competing against it. But in just the regular judging, it's all the other things that she mentioned, you know, the jar, the color, the smell, and we didn't talk about the moisture, we measure the moisture too, with the refractometer. So, and that's all written down on a score sheet, so everybody that enters gets a score sheet for every entry that they do, which is really nice, because you get to see why you got a third place, or why you got a first place, you know? So it's really meant to be a learning tool, to be able to have a score sheet in the end.
Oh, she's starting to be pretty good. I'm really sorry about, my ability to hear. Because I just like to be able to really hear what I tell people. Let's see, is there any other?
You have some one questions?
Nothing from online.
Okay.
Next question, so when you judge the honey, you enter it as an overall honey, and then you have one that's like a fireweed and meadow foam and those categories?
That's one entry, like one part of the competition, you can say, instead of just saying light honey or light amber, you know, these colors, that one can go into the special variety.
And the special varieties that are tasted
Yes.
and judged on their taste.
Yes.
Okay. One of the things that, a lot of places that do adjusting honey, they only have pretty different colors. They don't have variety at all. And Oregon's start way back, only with varieties. And I feel that like always, that's really the best thing, is to be able to taste the honey and know, compare with others and know what you're doing. But most of the places that do judge, they're actually to the color.
Yeah.
Which, you know, and
We just want both. Yeah.
So, do you have an overall grand champion? And if you did that, how do you marry these different flavors and categories? You do that, I'm not curious, I'm just curious.
Usually the, that type of winner is, combined points for all the things that they have done.
Okay,
So they have to have gotten a first in more categories than anyone else. So it just depends on what's been entered.
sure. Thank you.
And we have a honey tasting. And one of the challenges is after you taste a few honeys, they begin to kind of meld. How do you distinguish from one honey to another when you taste it?
You have some bread, you know, and try to clear your palate. That's, and crackers and water for hours. It's really exciting job, but it can last a lot to judge.
What is the perfect taste of a honey?
Okay, you answer that. What's the perfect taste of honey? I think that's a trick question, don't you?
Isn't that subjective?
Very.
So it's tasting.
That's-
Says
Anything in taste is subjective.
Yeah.
And the taste is subjective of this person and that person, you got three winners.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'll do them all.
Because Brian will say, my taste buds are the best in this room. And who wants to challenge it?
Blanche House.
Blanche House has
Blanche.
So you've been doing this since 63?
Yeah.
And then you have 19,000.
Oh, well, my dad was a commercial beekeeper. He had up to 4,500 hives.
Really?
He's one of the first beekeepers to go down to the almonds. And yeah, in California. And so he had a very interesting career as a beekeeper. Because he got to see all these steps throughout the many years, you know, the expanse of Oregon beekeepers into California, and then everybody else in California.
So what did the role?
We, yeah, but we heard about the mite in 78, when they were at the
Everybody's.
international conference. It scared me to death.
Right, just knowing that it was coming,
Yeah,
you know, so long it took for it to get to this country. And it's never been the same. But the thing about judging honeys or raising bees, one of the things that most bees that get started, they do one thing, and first of all, they make honey, they've got some honey, or selling honey, or like, for home, you know. But then they start to grow all these little things that think about, like, what are things like? Gee, wonder if I could, you know, raise wings myself. Just all those things, all of a sudden you find out there's so much to beekeeping, so much more than you never will ever learn. And that's exciting that beekeepers are able to do this, and just things that somebody else might say, oh, we only have cherries and vegetables or anything. Cherries. Grains, they don't take much more about beekeeping. And a lot of people really, until the apple, California started to have that almonds, and they started coming that first year. It was, everything started to change, everything right away. First of all, money made a big difference. Because beekeepers usually, especially in Oregon, Washington, were just love beekeepers. They made a live on what they, as family, but they're not rich. They never make a lot of money if they're beekeepers. Once they get to California with the almonds, we were sure when I first started, we thought we were rich. Because we went to California and the almonds, we got $15 to first go to California. And
What year was that?
it was
what year did you first go to California?
January.
60. What, 69?
I'm sorry doing this because.
She had a little stroke a couple of years ago, so we worked together. 74?
24.
74. 1974.
That's when they just started bringing hives in.
Yeah, almonds.
Yes, that's almonds. You went down to Modesto. So making $15 a hive compared to 6 or 7, whatever it was at that time, or it was a lot lower.
We never, ever made enough money. Here in this area because we don't have that much honey. So we learned to breed and charge these for bees and all kinds of other ones.
So where did you park for the hives in them when this in Dundee?
Oh, there were always a lot of hives there,
Yeah.
but no, he had a lot of locations. So there was always a
And how do you approve?
truck full of bees. Only a couple of guys. But usually,
That's a lot of bees.
yeah,
Bruce,
You gotta be lower, you know.
Gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Some are more than that. It hasn't really kept up with inflation.
no, nothing does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's working.
Especially gas prices, it's pretty terrible. But yeah, the people that take down thousands of hives, they have crews.
Right. It is a
Yeah.
money, you know, it is. You have to,
Well, when you started, did you just have bees before you started doing pollination?
I think he always did pollination. Didn't he?
Oh,
The whole
yes.
point was that.
that was the main thing was pollination, which was, you know.
Did you know Bill Rule?
Your rule?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when I started.
Yes,
It was
you were.
then, before Mike, he started.
Oh, yeah.
And he used to, but, you know, you had the word skills.
Now
Now it's so hard.
they just do it for you.
Yeah.
If anybody wants a copy of this, you can let me know and I'll email you a link of the video.
Who else?
Yeah, we have examples of score sheets and things like that. So, take a look. Okay.
I had one other question. Are you allowed to have, or should, can you have any of the sort of foam or wax, you know, particles at the top, or should it wants to be just perfect the whole way through? Yeah.
And you always turn in free jars?
Yeah. Oh, she's talking about if foam, any foam was okay, but it's not. Yeah, pretty sure.
Like jar, you have to do
Well,
it.
they need to be green line jars or the state tax, you know, the kind that looks like
There's a,
this.
Bruce, you can log on to the state fair website and they have the rules for entering and all your honey. It's detailed.
Like, there's a couple things that you can put in a pint jar, like spring honey, cut combs with the honey around it, that can be in a pint jar. But the, yeah, the instructions tell you all those details. But not having fingerprints on your jars is so much more important than anything.
Really?
It's,
Yeah.
it's judgy, it's just judgy, you know?
Yes.
One of the things that I've noticed is the quality of glass. It's hard to get good glass anymore.
That's what you
And
do.
you're looking at you buy case
Okay.
jars and you're looking at each one to see which one has weighty glass or imperfections, and it is very hard to get a perfect jar.
I know, isn't it crazy?
It really is.
People don't think about it if they don't actually have to put it up to the sun and say, this is acceptable, you know?
I
So
have
how many years did you
for a long
manage?
time. I saved different,
Bruce?
different kinds of jars, regular, pump. The jar that we bought. I saved, if they were special, was the arm of the thing fall, you know, the glass.
Has shoulders.
You go down this and then go down. Yeah. Yeah. I always thought that was fun, having these different kinds of jars that are fake, they should have thrown them out, instead of putting them in the chest. In the case.
So, yeah, sometimes you have to buy a whole case to find 3 jars. And sometimes you're lucky with 2 jars sometimes. So.
I will say, about what we do ourselves. Our honey is all in standard,
Canning jars.
pints, quarts, half gallons. And I don't sell too many half gallons because we don't have, like we used to have.
She means she doesn't sell that many full gallons.
Well, everybody sells
Sell
buckets. They sell, no matter if it's pickle or whatever, they sell them in pickles, or in plastic or, and we only use glass. Because that's, I think it's important. We all know this is the way it is and, glass always. And if someone brings a jar to me and says something's wrong with it, I've never been there.
Get rid of wrong jobs. Yeah,
Well,
but everything's more beautiful in glass, especially. I mean, it's just, I think otherwise.
Well, if it crystallizes and it's in plastic, you can't do a whole
Quite a
lot.
bit trouble with that, yeah, you gotta scoop it out.
We use honey bear. We use honey bears. I sell honey bears,
Yeah, that's our only plastic.
but if we have a choice of anything that would be all we do. Way too much is the cost.
How do you squeeze glass? Right. I don't think so.
Are your glass that you sell embossed at all or just totally plain glass?
It depends on where we get our glass, but
Yes,
we like, the plainer the better,
I know.
so. There's, you know, a couple of ways to do that, we just don't buy. We try not to buy canning jars that say something on them, even though it's in clear glass, it's so hard to get your label on, you know, so. Yeah, generic is best. And the price is better too.
You go by volume or weight?
Well, we go by volume, but we know the weight. So, kind of both. You know what we use. But, we don't necessarily. It's like a half pint, a pint, you know, pint 16. Or is 24.
You don't.
Yeah.
Yes, quite often we have people come and. Want our label. And they wanna send somewhere else, so,
They wanna resell, yeah.
and we really. I've worked with everybody. I've had several go, if they wanna take it, but I'm whether they're gonna buy it for themselves or their family or something. That. I just,
It's a farm
Nothing,
product, so it's not really for a storage shop. And, every now and then, somebody will come down, I'll just happen to be chatting with them, and they'll say. "Oh, yeah, I saw this on the shelf up at so-and-so winery, so I thought I'd come and get some." And it's like, oh, that's nice, they're just selling it, you know? I just don't want to.
And marking it up.
Well, once it's left your hands and,
It's out of our,
well, hopefully you've got sufficient profit that they're marketing.
we don't really care if they sell it, it's just that that's what it's meant to. But a lot of people are regular customers at coffee shops, they go through a lot. Yeah, people that have specialty things that they make, lavender teas and things like that, they want them in it. Makes it much more authentic.
I make my labels without, well, I put on like the net weight, but I leave like the amount, like,
Yeah,
and then the label on, but you know. Well, I'm assuming this 24 ounce is the, you know.
So you can use it for-
Net weight, yeah, so just write that in. Sure.
yeah,
one other thing to me is important about a label on your jar. I don't care if you give it to all your family and everything, but if you put a jar on it, you should be proud of your product. And if you don't have a label on it, first of all, if they, well, at one time there was a inspector, bee inspector that came to a friend and she was packing. And the inspector stopped, closed the whole thing. You can't do this, you can't sell honey, you don't have labels. And so my husband was talking to her. And she went out and she got a jar, not a jar, but a brass sack paper,
no paper sack.
and cut it out, square, and she wrote on it what it was and how many, whatever, stuck it on. And there's nothing that he could do about it, as long as it had the right information on it. And,
So be sure your address is on your labels. That's important.
I think we
You know
know
where it
that,
came from.
even if it's just your.
Post office box? No. What?
Oh,
Phone number.
You also have to put batch number on there, the expiration date on there, you don't expire, it's what.
You don't need an expiration.
We got nothing on ours. We don't expire.
It's
Keith,
got a-
that didn't have to. I think we did.
Or you
I hope you have other information, but. We'll have some samples
Yeah, if you guys have to see stuff.
so that you can have copies of the judge.
So are you working with the fair?
I'm on the committee, but I'm not in charge.
Is there any
Just-
possibility they're gonna add black jar this year?
Not at this point.
Oh, well,
What is black jar? Black
black
jar.
jar is, they can't see the honey, they can only taste it and smell it.
You could do that in variety. You know,
Doesn't-
black jar. If she'd like to see a black jar competition at the fair.
I understand that the Oregon State Beekeepers is considering adding black jar to their competition in October.
So what's up?
And see,
It's just a whole bunch of honey that are in black jars, so you can't see what they look like. So it's a blind taste test.
oh, no.
No,
So
And
it's pretty fun.
which group, who's Bay, I think they had one of those quite a while back ago with the bottom. You know, all those little things are interesting and fun to try it. And
Yeah,
be a beekeeper and I love it.
and then you know more about all the honey that you never thought you would know. Anyway, anybody else have any questions? Thanks so much for your.
thank you for your work down at the fair.
Oh, you're so welcome.
That was fun.
Oh, I do have one more question from the Zoom. Does one have to have the actual street address of the honey business?
Oregon has there's a law on what's on the label. And it,
I think you did that presentation.
yes,
Yeah.
and it's perfectly spelled out exactly what you need on your label. So that, tell them to go to the state of Oregon and they've got it all legally specified what you need to have.
Not subjective, it's always like in the Constitution.
Exactly. And how you can sell it and what kind of person you are, where you can sell it.
Have other things you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Something to keep up on. Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, you guys.